that he has done and all that we know that he's going to do today. We're just praising the Lord, and we're also praying for several. We've got to remember we still have several in the church that are sick and going through problems, and have one having surgery today, as a matter of fact. So let's pray much for one another today, and know that the Lord can and will bless today. Today's verse of the day comes from Philippians chapter 2, verses 14 through 16, which says, "Do all things without murmuring and disputing, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain." And as Paul is writing this, if anybody could have complained and murmured about the things that had happened to him and it was going on around him, Paul had every right to. I mean, he was talked about, run out of town. He was beaten and whipped and even stoned and left for dead. All the things that he went through, but yet Paul tells the people here, whenever we're going through things, to do all things without without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless. See, there's a reason whenever we take things with a grain of salt, as the old saying is, and we just do the best that we can with what we have to work with. There's a reason, because somebody is watching you. You may not realize it. You may not think that there is somebody there, but somebody's always watching you and watching your life and seeing how that you handle things. And as we look, he says, "Do all things without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke." And as he says this, especially, we look at this, and this is written almost 2,000 years ago, but look at the similarities of how it is with us today as he writes this, and he says, "In the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world." And like I said, this was almost 2,000 years ago, and he's saying it is a crooked and perverse nation. This is somewhere, that we probably could complain about, somewhere where we probably would fuss about having to go through. But Paul says here, to be blameless and harmless, do all things without murmurings, because we live in this world, we live in this land that we see so many perverse and crooked things going on. When we live right, it's going to shine out to the rest of the world, and they're going to see a difference in us. And some may want to be a part of that and wonder how that we can make it through those situations and those things. And some may still doubt and turn a deaf ear to the word of Christ. But there's always the hope that if we live our Christian life and we're working on that sanctification process of getting closer and closer to the Lord, then we're going to shine out as lights in this world, and it'll be a help, and it'll be a blessing to somebody out there, so that they'll see that there is a change in us through Jesus Christ. So he tells us, "Holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain." And this is truly the Word of life, the Holy Bible. As we read it today, it is the Word of life, and we have that life in Jesus, and we can rejoice in Jesus. And whenever it says that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, whenever it's time to go home, whether it be me leaving this world and dying down here, or whether the Lord comes back and takes us all home at one time, no matter which way that we go, the day of Christ is coming. The day of the Lord will, as we look around and we see this crooked and perverse nation, this crooked and perverse world that's going on all around us, you can't help but think it's got to be close to the Lord coming back. The Bible tells us, so it was in the days of Noah, and they were unrighteous, and unholy, and turned from God. And we see, unfortunately, so many that are doing that today. But we still have a few that are holding fast, that are trying to let our light shine in the darkness in this world. And if we can do that, then maybe there's still hope for lost and dying generation as He is reaching forth to us. So, friend, I encourage you today to do your best to try to live a Christian life, and try to be the best person that you can in the light of Christ. And I know that we can't do any good in ourselves. It has to come from the Lord. But hey, let's trust in Him today, and walk in His paths and His will today, and see just what kind of a light that you can be in this crooked and perverse world. So again, church, I hope that you have a blessed day today. I hope that the Lord will strengthen you throughout the remainder of the week, and hope to see you again tomorrow morning for another edition of First Things First. May God bless you, is our prayers.